Now, News Tonight's Glenda Chong spoke with an airline analyst, and he says even as SIA has a relatively strong fiscal position compared to other carriers, the airline has to buckle in tight for turbulent times ahead.
Well, SIA is one of the healthiest airlines in the world at this moment because of the support it has received from domestic and its creditors. I mean, the amount of money it has far exceeds many, many other flag carriers around the world. And that amount of money that it has now will stand the airline in good stead as it tries to overcome or withstand the impact of the pandemic, which is likely to go on for another 18 months at least.
All right. Well, given that passenger capacity we know will take some time to build up, what can SIA do to boost its bottom line?
There's not really much the airline can do other than hope and pray that this thing ends quickly because of the absence of a hinterland and the fact that SIA is absolutely dependent on the external marketplace, unlike flag carriers in other parts of the region, Malaysia or Thai or Philippines and Indonesia, where their airlines have a fairly huge domestic market. But here, I think without the absence of the domestic market will clearly erode every month the amount of cash that SIA has. And apart from having meals on A380 or having other forms of, I suppose, some other areas that they can do would be perhaps in trying out selling merchandise, for example, or perhaps getting one of the top Singapore game players. Maybe Razer can invent a game based on SIA or something like that, which might take off actually. So they have to think very differently because the passengers are not coming. The absence of the vaccine for many, many more months are unlikely to help SIA.
Right. So saying all that, we know that, SIA is limited by government-to-government measures to boost airline travel and to control the spread of COVID-19. So realistically, how long do you think it will take for SIA to recover?
Quite a long time, unfortunately. 9 months, almost a year have already gone by, where airlines have suffered a great deal. I think 2021 will not look better than what we've just seen. In fact, I suspect it's going to get worse with the impact of the lag that we've seen this year. Clearly, not just SIA, but other airlines in the region and the rest of the world will suffer, and some will indeed collapse. Now, I think for SIA, the ability for it to endure with all that money that it has and it stands to gain, I've just been informed that they have sent out a request for proposal to issue bonds in the coming months. So that puts it in a very strong position. But all the money in the world today for an airline doesn't do much good if it doesn't have the ability to fly those aircraft. So you can capitalize the airline and you solidify its balance sheet, but if the planes are not going anywhere, the passengers are not there, then there's not really much you can do other than try to have travel bubbles. You have to try to have governments open up, align themselves. Unfortunately, governments have their own minds, and many of them, unlike Singapore, are not as proactive and not as eager to open up their borders. So we'll just have to wait and see, but the prognosis is not very good at this stage.